Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. Today we're going to look at ball relay, how it should be done, and we'll see a couple of situations of how it shouldn't be done, and we'll talk about what difference it makes how we do our ball relay. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look at what the MOFO has to say about this.
In the MOFO, we go to section 5.8 ball relay, and I really encourage you to read the entire act because it has a lot of good stuff, and I've only picked out a few bits and pieces here and there to kind of illustrate what we're looking for. And the first one is number 4. Never be in a hurry to relay the ball. Accuracy is more important than speed. If you're not so good at throwing the ball accurately, you will need to make up for it by taking a few more steps to get closer to your target. So what we're really looking for is preventing that the ball goes on the ground. And 7C deals with larger crews, and it says the cover will be either the wing official or the deep wing official on that side of the field. The retriever will normally be the other sideline official on the same side. So basically what we're saying here is outside the B2, the cover will be the wing official and the retriever will be the deep wing official. The back judge plus either the umpire or referee, whichever is nearer, will act as relayer. The umpire, center judge, or referee should go to the inbound spot to be the spotter. In today's fast-paced game, the referee will typically be involved in the substitution mechanics, so he will most likely delegate these responsibilities and not personally participate in the ball relay very much. And finally, number 9 says in hurry-up situations where the clock is still running, the umpire must go and get the ball wherever it is in bounds and act as both retriever and spotter. Other officials should not handle the ball and must ensure that they are quickly in position for the next down. The only exception to this would be in crews of 8, where it could be either the umpire or the center judge to handle ball duties. We don't want them both to be doing it at the same time because we want to avoid moving the ball from one person to another or one official to another and risking the ball going on the ground. So one official should do it, and again it could be either the umpire or the center judge. And that was the book. Now let's have a look at some game film and some real live examples. In this first example, we have a 1st and 10, so we're moving the chain, but notice how the ball is not placed nose on yet. But the chain is set up according to the ball, which is somewhere around middle between 2 hashes. And now, after the chain is set, the ball is moved to the correct nose on position. But unfortunately, it's too late at this point. We need to do this faster. We need to get the ball nose on right when we put it down, because here we end up in a situation where the ball is nose on the field, but unfortunately we have the chain set up incorrectly, and if you'll notice, the line to gain now is not the 38 but the 38 and a half, and that can cause problems later, and I have a good example of that in the next play. So in this example, we've got 2nd and 14, but the chain is set up, as you can see, from the 40 to the 50. So we know the line to gain is nose on the 50. And wouldn't you know it, here we have a play where the runner ends, pretty much on top of the 50, but we don't have to measure here because we know the line to gain is the nose on the 50, and we can just go with that. Now, you can argue that the runner probably is down tail on the other side of the 50, but if we use our philosophy and our mechanics, whether you go nose on the 49 or as we do in this case, go nose on the 50, I don't really have a preference as long as we go nose on, certainly outside of the red zones and especially outside of the B10. So once we get into goal to go, we want to be much more precise. But here we end up not having to measure because we know the line to gain is nose on the 50, and here we cross the 50, and we're smart enough to even though the runner doesn't go down exactly on the 50, we end up putting the ball on the 50, nose on, so that 10 yards later down the field we can do the same again. And it just speeds up the game and keeps everybody happy. Here we have the ball on the 50, and for some reason everybody's ready, and now we decide to move it to the 49, and we really need to do whatever we can to avoid this situation. So umpires, center judges, wings really need to work together to make sure that the ball is put in the right position the first time around. Here we just end up looking really bad. Everybody is waiting, and then we decide to move the ball. Another point to this is that it is 2nd and 20. Do we really need to stop the game to make it 2nd and 21? I think that is something that we can adjust after this play. Obviously, if it's 3rd and 2 and it needs to be 3rd and 1, that makes a huge difference. But 2nd and 20 to 2nd and 21, maybe we could have left this alone just because we end up looking really bad here. And again, it really just is a question of making sure that we put the ball in the right place the first time around. So whoever spots the ball, make sure that you get all the information, and the wings or whoever is helping out, make sure that you give the spotter all the information that he or she needs to get this right the first time around. So we're talking about communication and how to spot the ball correctly. Here's one example of how it can we can shoot ourselves in the foot, because the ball ends outside, just barely outside the numbers. So we are going to bring in a new ball. The deep wing is already retrieving a new ball, but instead of spotting the old ball, this wing just takes the ball and leaves. So instead, if we just spot this dirty ball where progress is, that would make it so much easier for the umpire, or in this case the center judge, to spot the ball correctly. Here we end up in risking that the center judge spots it wrong, and you'll notice here that he's actually looking out towards the wing to see if he can get a spot, but he can't because we already picked up the ball and moved it away. So if we have a dirty ball, we just need to put it down as often as we can to give the spotter a chance to put the ball correctly, so that we don't end up spotting it incorrectly. Here's another example of how things can go wrong and we end up wasting time and potentially getting the wrong spot. So the ball dies inside the numbers, and the MOFO says if the ball dies inside the numbers, we go with the ball we already have on the field. And it doesn't really matter that the running back flips it out to the wing. In this situation, all we need to do is have the wing get the ball to the umpire. Instead, we actually do get a ball on the ground here when we don't want it, because now the deep wing is not in the process of getting a clean ball in. So now we end up wasting time, and we look, less than professional. And we end up, looking like we don't know what we're doing. So again, remember that the the line of reference is the 9-yard mark, or the top of the numbers. If the runner or the play ends between the numbers, we go with the ball we have. If the runner dies outside the numbers, now it's time to put the dirty ball down and get a new ball in and move on with life. In comparison, here is a really good example of a completed pass close to the sideline, so we're outside the numbers. Now already the wing and the deep wing should be thinking, at least, that after this play we need to do some ball relay stuff. That ball officiating and then ball relay stuff. It's a first down, so the wing kills the clock. Well done. And you'll notice also that the ball boy has been instructed that in this kind of a situation, even though he's closer to the wing, his focus is on the deep wing because he knows that is who will want the ball. So the wing spots the ball, nose on, and meanwhile the deep wing has already put the ball in motion to the center judge, to the umpire. Good communication between the center judge and the umpire. Since this is to the side of the field where the center judge is, he can be the relayer, and the umpire then gets the ball. But I'd like you to notice how as soon as the ball dies, everybody starts moving. So the wing knows what he needs to do. The deep wing, while he is dead ball officiating, he's moving closer to the ball boy and the new ball. The center judge is already getting in position where he can relay the ball to the umpire, who is already getting in position to spot the ball. So this is just really well done, efficient. Everybody knows what they need to do and everybody does their job. There is still a ball on the ground for the umpire to spot, so we get everything done quickly and correctly. This last play, it's a running play instead of a pass play, but the principle is precisely the same. The ball dies just outside the numbers, but right away everybody gets into motion. The wing knows that he needs to put a ball down. The deep wing is already has a ball from the ball boy, who was ready to give it to him, and in this crew of 7, the umpire is already ready to receive the ball. And you'll notice right there, when he gets the ball, he's looking out to the wing just to see where he needs to spot the ball, and then he goes and spots the ball. Everybody doing their part, and it just looks fast and looks efficient, and it is correct. So that is how we want it done, and that is how we avoid the mistakes that we saw earlier in this training tape. And that was the training tape, and I hope you found something you can use on the field.